Did they make
No,
contact?
I don't know. It's pretty close, but this is going to be a drag race.
Right Look there. At this.
Moves him to win it. Carl Edwards bump and dump and run.
Here comes Gordon right up to the bumper again.
You hear that wheel spin, Benny?
Yeah, I did hear that wheel spin.
The bump and run.
There it is.
Gordon underneath to the lead. 2 laps to go.
Maine really turned around, made a Riley's cage up.
You're not frozen.
Yeah, welcome to the Bump and Run podcast. I'm your host, Michael DUI, joined by my two best friends, Matt, the Statman Reilly, and Eric, Daytona Ron. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys had yourself a Kyle Larson type of weekend. 5-time winner, second win at a road course this weekend. Watkins Glen, hell of a race, the gold bowling at the Glen. And I absolutely loved it. And you want to know what? I would also love it if you guys would like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Let your friends know. Spread the word. Spread the butt cheeks. Get this thing rolling along. We're late. We'll mention why we're late this week. But usually we're available every Monday night. Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, the Audacity app, the Audible app. If you're going from... Maybe you're listening to an audiobook. Maybe you're listening to the biography of Dale Earnhardt and you want to switch over to some modern NASCAR. Listen to the Bump and Run podcast. Tell all your friends. And of course, a video available every Tuesday morning, except for this Tuesday. It'll be available Thursday morning on YouTube. The Bump and Run podcast YouTube channel. Tell all your friends. Follow us at Bump the Letter and Run Pod on Twitter. Check out the Facebook page. Check out the website, bumpandrunpod.com. But most importantly, I want to know, how was your guys' weekend? Matt, we're doing this late. You want to tell everyone why we're recording Wednesday instead of the typical Monday night?
So I just got back from my honeymoon, actually. My wife and I got married in October. Yeah, thank you. We got married in October, middle of the pandemic. Couldn't really plan anything, any kind of crazy trip, that included flying or whatnot. So we kept it within the States just because we didn't want to get stuck somewhere because of COVID and all that. So we went down to Fort Lauderdale. That was my first time in that part of Florida, Fort Lauderdale. Yeah,
I'll tell you what. So what's down in Fort Lauderdale? Is that on the east side, or is that like on the Gulf side?
It's like essentially like, because my dad kept saying to me like, "Oh, are you gonna go check out like Daytona?" And I'm like, "No, Dad, it's South Miami, or it's South
Beach,
Florida. So it's about 40 minutes north of South Beach. Like you could pretty much like at nighttime, if you're standing on the beach, like you could kind of see like Miami way down the coast. So, but it was beautiful. Like besides the million-degree temperatures, like it was a really, really cool place to go. I highly, highly suggest it. Expensive, but that's kind of to be understood. But
you're on vacation. It's your honeymoon. You got to go buck wild, right?
It was a nice getaway. Got to see some gators in the Everglades. There was actually a little sand shark right in front of us at the beach. Cool. Kept me out of the water for half a day.
It's like Jaws coming to life.
Yeah. It was like a little 2-foot sand shark, but that's 2 feet bigger than I wanted to say.
Now, I got to know, though, did you order one of those giant bowl drinks 10 minutes before the place is about to close?
No, I didn't. No, I did not. I stayed away from watermelon drinks. I'll tell you what, though.
If you missed that story, it was a couple episodes ago. Matt ordered a giant watermelon booze drink in Ocean City, Maryland, about 10 minutes before the place was about to close.
Yeah, and it was like $50, $60, something like that. So I had no choice but to slam it, and that was an awful night and next day. But I'll tell you what, we did go to like this Mexican restaurant, and it was like genuine like Mexican. Like we got greeted at the door by the actual Spanish, like full blown Spanish owner who spoke very broken English, brought us to our table, gave us the rundown of the specials. Very nice guy.
Yeah.
Normal Mexican place. And at about 8:30, 9 o'clock, we were just wrapping up dinner, finishing our drinks, thinking about what bars to go to. Out of nowhere, the place turned into a freaking party.
A dance club.
They brought out sombreros.
It
for
happens. It's
everyone,
crazy.
everyone. They brought out trays of tequila. They never asked us. I guess because we had drinks, they never asked us our age. But started handing us tequila shots and it turned into a party. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
So yeah, little things like that. But it was cool. It's nice to be back. I'm ready now. I'm to switch gears into NASCAR playoff mode and especially football mode. I'm ready for after 100-degree weather for 5 straight days. I'm ready for the fall. Yeah,
I feel like there's places all over the country where like they're very unassuming and they all of a sudden just turn into nightclubs out of nowhere. Like you flick a switch and all of a sudden like you're having dinner and then all of a sudden there's just boom, 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 and there's like people grinding and shit.
That's exactly what happened. It was just dinner to a nightclub, like no warning. But it was cool. It was fun.
I thought it was funny too. Your dad's like, "Oh, are you heading to Daytona?" I feel like people that have never really explored Florida don't realize how big and how far everything is away from each other. Like even like as a NASCAR fan, you think like, "Oh, well, why would they go to Miami at Homestead when they could go to Daytona?" And they're like 4 hours away from each other. It's insane.
My buddy Nick was texting me and he said that he's I guess his parents have a place in St. Augustine, so he was going down there and I was like, no shit, like, oh, we'll meet up, and go out or whatnot. I got on the app to see how far it was. St. Augustine is 4 hours away. From Fort Lauderdale. I'm like, never mind. I guess that's not happening.
I like it, but I don't like it enough to drive 4 hours on vacation.
Yeah. Oh, another tip too. I always learn things the hard way.
Yeah.
If you're renting a car, don't use a debit card. Use a credit card. They whack you another $70 if you use a debit card.
Really?
Yeah. Bullshit.
I try to use a credit card as much as possible. You got to rack up all those points.
Yeah.
Screwed
myself.
How about you, Eric? What'd you do this weekend?
Well, back on the liquor.
Yeah, nice.
So my, I think my resting weekends are behind me. I'm rejuvenated a little bit here, and I got some, things upcoming. There's a music festival that I'm going to, and there's an air show coming to Pocono.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for the air show. That's next week, right?
22nd.
Okay.
It's Sunday, 22nd. So, I got to get back into the partying and going out mood here. And I think I'm ready for
coming up.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Weddings coming up, football season. That's what I don't call it football season anymore. I call it day drinking season.
Yeah. You start at noon on a Saturday and you finish on Sunday night around 8:30.
Yeah. Yeah. They're long weekends.
Around the corner, it's been hot here too, Matt. So you're down there sweating. It's been in the 90s here, and
I can't.
But the nights have been cooler though, which you could tell the fall and that football weather. It's almost here.
Approaching.
Yeah. Not quite yet though.
Yeah.
And you know what that means? NASCAR playoff season just around the corner. Only 3 races away. I can't wait. But Eric, like you said, the last couple days here in Northeast Pennsylvania have been thick, like
brutal,
thick.
Brutal.
And
the UV, I thought the UV index went up to 10. I thought like 10 was the highest. No, not so fast, my friend. An 11. An 11. I was under the umbrella on the beach last day. I did so good. You guys know me very well. I'm as white as a sheet of paper.
Oh, yeah.
And I did so good the whole time. And I was under the umbrella the whole last day, out of the sun. The only time I was in the sun was when we were in the water for like maybe 15 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
I ended up
shark
getting
attacks.
Yeah. I ended up getting burned on my legs because apparently when the UV index is that high, it can reflect off the sun and still get you. So I still got sunburned underneath an umbrella. I'm like the only person in the world history that got sunburned under an umbrella.
You know what? When I go to the beach, I always forget to do is put sunblock on the top of my feet, and then all of a sudden you just have like I'll wear like slides to the beach or whatever, and then all of a sudden like the tops of my feet are burnt, and then there's just a giant line where the strap is, and then my tootsies get all burnt. And for some reason, I don't know if you guys are like this, but every now and then when I get sunburned in a place that doesn't get sun a lot, that burn will last for like months and months. It'll be like December. And the light will hit it just right, and I'll see that line on my foot. I'm like, man, how the hell is that still discolored? Kind of makes me nervous. I'm also a pretty fair-skinned boy. Yeah.
That's a mistake you only make once, though.
See, Eric doesn't know what we're talking about because Daytona Ron over there, when we used to go to the beach as teenagers in our early 20s, he just put iodine and baby lotion on, or baby oil or whatever.
Old Ginzo trick, baby. It's an old Ginzo trick.
Yeah, he's like, oh, my grandma made me some tanning oil. And like he just runs up and like I'd be burning to a crisp.
I was gonna say if I put baby oil on my body and went outside during the summer, I'd be in the ICU.
Oh yeah, your skin would be bubbling up and stuff. Yeah. It's miserable. But we're powering along through the summer. We're just at Watkins Glen for the NASCAR race. Nice trip up to upstate New York. I almost drove up there on Sunday morning. I was really debating it. It was right around 10 o'clock. I was like, oh, it's like a 2.5 hour drive. The race starts at 3. It's a quick race. I'll be back home before nighttime. The only thing that kept me was we've had so much rain in Northeast PA lately that I let the back grass just go. And I had to cut it on Sunday. And in fact, I had to cut it twice because the lawnmower kept getting jammed up and stuff. I'm not making that mistake again next year. Next year, I'm going to Watkins Glen because this was a fantastic race. We'll get into it during our race grades. But do you guys want to jump into the news from the last week?
Let's hear it.
Yeah.
So kind of a slow news week. And we recorded on Monday night, Tuesday. I feel like Tuesday is the day that all the news breaks when it comes to silly season because it was finally announced and confirmed Ross Chastain will drive the #1 car for Trackhouse Racing in 2020. And something I never noticed before, the #1 font has been the same since the days of the #1 car in DEI back in the late 90s and early 2000s when Steve Park drove it. I never realized they never changed the font. And Matt, I can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember who the competition director was for
Hoots? David Hoots?
No, he's just on the Dale Jr. download the other day.
Ty Norris.
Ty Norris. So Ty Norris was basically ran the show for DEI for a long time. Kind of got forced out with the whole Teresa Earnhardt thing. Moved over to Michael Waltrip Racing. Kind of got screwed over when it came to Spingate. He was a big fall guy during that whole controversy with that. And now he's working for Trackhouse Racing, and it's kind of neat. It came full circle because he left DEI in not the greatest terms, and now he gets that #1 car back, and they have the 99. I thought that was pretty cool. They'll probably do some marketing with the #1 and the 99 car. Yeah. So big congratulations to Ross Chastain. I feel like we kind of already saw that coming. Of course, rumors are that Kurt Busch is going to be going to 2311's second car if Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan can secure a second charter. And it sounds like Rick Ware is willing to lease one of those charters. So I'm assuming it'll probably be to Denny for the right price. We'll be interested to see.
Just get it out of his hands.
Oh yeah, just give it to any type of car that's willing to commit and try to compete. Yeah, I mean, Rick Ware running 4 full-time cars is just ridiculous. They should focus on a one-car operation and try to finish inside the top 30 once in a while. We'll talk about one of his drivers in a little bit in our last place segment. But yeah, just confirmation Ross Chastain going to be the #1 car, seeing where Kurt Busch is going to land in the next couple of weeks. He says that everything's pretty much buttoned up. They're just waiting on a few T's to cross and some I's to dot and whatnot. Another story we've been following throughout the year, Nashville Fairgrounds. A lot of people want to see the Cup Series and NASCAR race at Nashville Fairgrounds. They've been having conversations with the city. The mayor signed a letter of intent with Dale Jr. and Marcus Lemonis from SMI and all that stuff. And is it Marcus Lemonis? Or no, he's from Camping World.
No, yeah, he's Camping World.
No, it was Marcus Smith from SMI and everything. So they've been doing like town hall meetings and whatnot. The residents not happy about the prospect of a race at Nashville Fairgrounds, although they just had an IndyCar race on the streets of Nashville. But apparently the residents aren't too happy about that either.
I saw someone tweet that. I don't know if one of you guys sent it to me. I forget, who sent it, but it was like somebody tweeted out like
I remember it was big news on Twitter, the whole thing, because someone like screenshotted the bridge being shut down and like 4 or 5 city blocks being shut down. And we're like, and we can't race at the like Nashville Speedway or the fairgrounds. And I'm like, oh my God, like what a good burn.
It's so true.
You want to know why? Because they make a great point too. And so they said conversations are still going on with the fairgrounds and NASCAR. The earliest it could happen would be 2023. So we're a whiles away from hearing any real confirmation. But yeah, you can't argue a racetrack that's already there and is already holding races. The SRX series was there for one of their last races, or maybe it was the finale of the season. And there hasn't been any issues.
Chase ran that one. That's the one he won. But that was a great race, and that speedway looked like a lot of fun. That's the only type of racing I've ever watched on the actual fairgrounds, track itself, and it was a great track. It produced really fun racing.
Yeah, if you like short track racing, head on over to YouTube and search SRX and Nashville Fairgrounds. That was one of the greatest races I've seen in a long time because those cars were so fast on that short track. It was a whole lot of fun to watch. It was really interesting, especially if, of course, Chase and his dad were racing against each other and the other SRX guys. It was a really fun race to watch. But NASCAR trying to make some stuff happen. We'll see what happens there. It's actually the course for the truck series this week in iRacing. So I turned some laps on the fairgrounds racetrack on Monday night, and it was a bear. I don't know if the setup was just bad, but it was not as fun as the SRX race was to watch. So hopefully, if NASCAR does go there, it'll produce some good racing. I'm sure it will, though. Let's see. Real slow news week, but I thought this was a pretty interesting story because it kind of incorporates some NASCAR history in with it. So Wendell Scott, his family is going to receive his race win trophy from the 1964 Jacksonville 200. And if you don't know who Wendell Scott is, he was the first ever black NASCAR driver way back in the early 60s. He drove through the 60s and 70s. In fact, he's the only black man or woman to win a NASCAR Cup Series race. Now, it was marred in controversy, though, because it did happen in 1963, and this is kind of the depressing part. It happened during the Jim Crow South era, and, NASCAR was afraid of what would happen if a black man won a NASCAR race in the South in the 60s. They actually awarded the race win to the guy that came in second. It was Buck Baker. And through scoring, they actually figured out he was 2 laps down in the race. So Wendell Scott lapped the field 2 times. Eventually, they made it right. They awarded Wendell Scott the win about 2 years later. It goes down in the history books. He is a winner, but he never got the trophy, which I feel was kind of upsetting. But this coming finale for the regular season at Daytona, his family is going to receive that trophy. I don't know if it's an original or if it's like a reproduction of the trophy from the 60s. I believe Buck Baker left the track with that trophy, so I don't know whatever happened to that original one. But I just thought it was a pretty interesting story. NASCAR trying to kind of right a wrong that happened in just a rough time in American history, and of course NASCAR history as a whole too. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Wendell Scott, he's a NASCAR Hall of Famer. He was inducted in 2015 and unfortunately passed away in 1990. So he never got to receive the trophy. He did receive the check, though, which I did think was interesting. Helped his race team keep going for a couple more years. He retired in the 70s after some injuries in Talladega. But his family going to receive the trophy he never got in 1964 at Daytona, coming up in a couple weeks. And that is your NASCAR news / history lesson for today on the Bump and Run podcast. I just thought that was a cool little one.
I like that.
Maybe we'll do some history in the future. We got a long off season coming up. Maybe
like a this week in the history of NASCAR.
You know, I think we're having our production meeting on air here, but I think that is a good idea. Maybe when news is light, we'll just add a little history segment. Something that's going to happen in the future, though, in fact, coming up in just a few days, Austin Cindric is going to be making his final Cup start of the season at the Indy Road Course this weekend. Now, Austin Cindric, great road course racer. I think all of us really had high expectations for him to race in that Penske equipment in his couple starts here, because most of them have been at road courses, but he hasn't really had the performance that we thought he would. He would show greatness early on in the race, but just things would happen at Coda. The rain and everything really ruined his day. And then I think his last race was at Road America, and he got into Matt DiBenedetto, and I think one of his brakes blew up, right? Am I remembering that correctly?
He did race at Road America because I picked him.
Yeah.
And he got 1 point.
That's what
I was just about to say. That I know Matt picked him for that race, and he did not do well.
Spoiler alert, I'm not picking him this week.
Yeah, I would stay far away from him. He might be good for a stage point early on, though. But yeah, he'll be making his last Cup Series race of the season. Of course, going full-time next year in the number 2 car for Team Penske, so it'll be interesting to see what happens next season for him. I actually do, I said it last week, normally I like to pump the brakes on rookies, but I do have high expectations for Austin Cindric next year. Especially since everyone's going to be in a new car. I think he might pull off a road course win if we have as many road courses this or next season as we do this season. I think that's a lot of opportunities for him. Of course, he's got to have to beat Team Hendrick, who are the road course kings this year. What's up, Matt?
They should be. I keep seeing it on Twitter. They should be announcing next year's schedule like literally any day now. Any day or any week now, they should be announcing it. So that'll definitely give us, that's something to look for coming up here shortly. That we'll be, I'm assuming we'll be diving into that as well if there's any big shakeups.
Absolutely, I'm looking forward to seeing what we have in store for next season, because coming into the season, I wasn't too thrilled about how many road courses we actually had, and so far I'm loving all the road courses. So. Hopefully we don't get road course fatigue, though. I know we still have one coming up this week, so back-to-back road courses. And then, of course, the Roval later on in the season and in the playoffs. Let's see. Oh, this is a sad story. Legendary broadcaster Bob Jenkins passed away at the age of 73. He had cancer, and he was a broadcaster for years, especially at ESPN. Made some legendary calls. There's some great calls of him actually calling races at Indy in the Brickyard. That I was watching some highlights earlier on in the week on YouTube, and just a sad passing. Cancer sucks. What are you gonna do though? Let's see, Matt. You said the Knoxville Nationals are going to be this week. Do you have any news on that? I don't know much about the Knoxville Nationals.
I believe they start tonight. I think there's heat races or something going on. It's next to the Chili Bowl. I think it's even bigger than that. The Knoxville Nationals are like the biggest like sprint car event of the year. So
okay,
believe that is happening. Like I said, starting like probably, what is it, 7:15 on Wednesday here, like now.
Okay.
And I guess it goes through the weekend.
So if you're listening to this podcast tomorrow and you want to check out some racing later on the night, check out the Knoxville Nationals. A story I just saw break on Twitter. Texas is going to host the All-Star race again in 2022. They're just promoting the return. No set date. Of course, we'll figure out when. Oh, Longhorns. I was trying to figure out what you were doing there. Daytona Ron's a Texas Longhorns fan. But yeah, Texas is going to be hosting the All-Star race yet again. I didn't think the All-Star race was as bad as people thought it was going to be this past year. You guys could go back and listen to our thoughts on that a couple episodes ago. So we'll see what happens. And I think we ripped
it to shreds. We ended up all enjoying it.
Oh yeah. I hope Sammy Hagar comes down again too and gets the year right this time. But yeah, and you want to know what? We're going to do something fun maybe later on in the show where we'll talk about the All-Star race and maybe some different formats you could do inspired by the Olympic Games. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had for NASCAR news this week. Kind of a slow news week. But some interesting stories. Let's see. So yeah, you guys want to jump into the race weekend? Usually we do this on Monday nights. I feel like I'm a little bit more crisp on Monday nights. It's Wednesday. I'm getting a little burnt out at work, and my mind's a little foggy, so the flow is not as great as it normally is.
By the time Wednesday rolls around, I think you get over that hump. We're all already looking forward to the weekend instead of back. So bear with us here today. We're trying to bring it to you a little bit, but it's hard for all of us.
I am excited for the Indy Road Course this weekend. We'll get into that. But back to Watkins Glen, New York this past weekend. The Trucks and Xfinity Series had a doubleheader on Saturday. The truck race unfortunately cut short due to some lightning delays happening. It got me a little nervous that they wouldn't get the Xfinity race in, but they got that whole thing in no problem. Your truck race winner, of course, was Austin Hill, and he got a little practice the day before he raced the ARCA race on Watkins Glen, which was a pretty decent race too, if you got to check that one out. Ty Gibbs was your race winner later on. What can we say about Ty Gibbs that we haven't already said? I mean, this kid is a real deal. And like, people will say like, oh, he's in his grandpa's equipment. He gives him the best equipment. Yeah. But he also beat two of the best road course racers in the series on Saturday in AJ Allmendinger and Austin Cindric. So, and when you're putting up wins against those guys on their playgrounds, you're the real deal. This kid is
when you're not even a full-time trucker or Xfinity car driver, it's I keep getting more and more impressed by him. He's got all the talent in the world, and like you said, it's not a dollar bill that jumps behind the wheel and drives. It's him.
Yeah,
and he's the one that pilots through those races, and he's phenomenal.
So young too, like just turning 19 in a couple months.
For me, like this is almost as crazy as like as far as comparing it to like when William Byron came from just like his video game background and the simulator background and how he just dominated as soon as he got into a real truck and then real car. It was like he was
like, where did this kid come from,
Yeah, and I think Ty is the same way. Like, yeah, he's in good equipment, but like you still have to perform, and he's performed every single time he's gotten behind the wheel of that car. So yeah, he might come from money, he might come from some people, some names that are in the sport for a while, but you still have to put down, the performance behind the wheel, and he is doing that, and he's kind of making it look easy.
Your reference is probably better than what I was going to say. Dovin, you can appreciate this being a Jaguars fan, but it almost reminded me of like Trevor Lawrence. When he was in high school, he was so dominant in high school, and everyone was talking about him like when he comes up into college, he's gonna dominate, and he did, and he was just on a whole different level. Well, that's kind of like Ty Gibbs. He's kind of in the high school mode right now with the ARCA series, and he's showing flashes in these higher series, and he's got all the hype behind him, and rightfully so.
I mean, right now, I'm not looking to confirm this, but I'm almost certain that the only winners from Joe Gibbs Racing the Xfinity Series this year have been Ty Gibbs and Kyle Busch. I mean, I'm pretty sure Harrison Burton hasn't won this year.
He hasn't.
I was surprised because he had a couple,
which is surprising. Yeah. I know Daniel Hemrick hasn't. He's been having terrible luck the last couple of years. And
he should have 2 or 3 wins.
And the other driver, the 54 this season, Ty Dillon, he hasn't finished out in the top 20. So you could say, oh, it's Joe Gibbs equipment. No one else is performing in Joe Gibbs equipment. It's
Brandon Jones hasn't won.
Yeah. I don't think Brandon Jones has won in a long time. Has he ever won in the Xfinity Series? Yeah. He has one win, right?
Yeah, he won last year, actually.
Yeah, either way. I mean, Ty Gibbs, real deal. We'll see what he does next year. I'm sure he'll go full time in the Xfinity Series. I don't see him making a stop in trucks, and I don't think he needs to at all.
I agree. I think I've seen enough from him to make that jump. I know we always talk about, hey, the right way to do it, come up through the ranks, and you like to see that way of coming up, but there's talent when you see it. You know that, they deserve to just go right to where there's a ride available.
Yeah, that actually jogged my memory too. Back to the news section. Haley Deegan going to be spending another year in trucks. I think she's doing it the right way, trying to gain some experience and take her career path a little slower than I'm sure she could. I'm sure she could get pushed to the Xfinity Series real quick just because of her name and everything alone. But she's going to look to race some Xfinity Series races to maybe put together a part-time schedule while running full-time in trucks. Just an update that I remember seeing on Twitter. I think, Eric, you told us about it last week, and I forgot to put it down. But let's get to Sunday. Your Cup Series race winner. No surprise here. It was a Hendrick duel to the end, and Kyle Larson picking up his 5th win of the season, his 2nd road course win of the season, his 2nd road course win ever, beating out the king of the road, Chase Elliott. I thought it was a great race. What did you guys think about it?
Oh, I thought it was excellent. You know, we talked about it, and it was like everything. It just, you know, when just everything just lines up and it just works out. Like,
yeah,
I feel like the NASCAR gods have been listening to us and our podcast, and all the little things that we've been asking for, all those, you know, the race time, the race length, you know, like it's everything just seems like it was just came together, right? And I think Watkins Glen just proved to just be, you know, it is my favorite road course. I was hyped for Watkins Glen. I know I told you guys, it might have been that Sunday morning, like, you know, I forgot how much I loved Watkins Glen until I started really watching it again. Like Whitey alluded, you know, we added a lot of more road courses into the schedule, and, you know, did that kind of, you know, put Watkins in the shadow for a little while? Yes, for me it did. But, you know, once they got there, to me, if the other road courses, you could tell that they just aren't true. You know, they were kind of, they're gimmicky in a way, you know, like the Roval and those ones, they kind of like make them up. This one, true road course, it just put on such a show. Yeah. Absolute incredible.
Eric, what was your grade?
For me, Watkins Glen is just a whole different vibe of a road course.
Yeah, A.
Absolutely. A well-deserved A. And yeah, like you said, like some of the other road courses, like, yeah, the Roval kind of feels gimmicky. I know, Eric, you're not a real big fan of Daytona Road Course, even though I think that one's actually a pretty good road course, Roval type race. But, yeah, it's just something about Watkins Glen. It's so fast. You have those big sweeping turns, the S's. It just a whole lot of fun to watch. The
bus stop.
The bus. I love the bus stop.
To me, is like they're just fun passing zones because they're, you know where they're at, but they're still hard as hell to do.
Yeah.
And to get around because the driver's going to know you're going to try to pass there, you know, and you kind of have to take some chances like Larson did with, you know, that's why I threw on the old, you know,
Bell.
The old yellow and black here because, you know, him and Christopher Bell, like that, you know, and like Larson said, they both kind of got into it, but, you know, it produces that kind of racing and you know, that aggressiveness when you really need to take it from somebody, you're going to have to take that position.
That turn 1 at Watkins Glen, and I guess, you know, this is just me armchair quarterbacking, but that turn 1 in Watkins Glen might be the most exciting turn in all of NASCAR.
Yeah.
I don't like
it's insane.
I know it's fresh on my mind, so maybe that's why I'm saying that. But like that and like the heartburn turn at the Roval, like those turns, because they're straightaways.
They're both very easy to lock up your brakes and overshoot the turn. You're going in real fast. You're barreling down. No, they
are making it 3 wide going into it.
Oh,
and you know, times on Sunday I was literally yelling, "Oh no! Oh, 3 ain't gonna work!" I'm yelling, "Ain't gonna work! Ain't gonna work!" I'm yelling on my TV, "Ain't gonna work!"
And that's the thing about Sunday's race too. It did work. We had like no cautions besides competition caution and the stage breaks. Like they kept it clean, and I feel like I didn't see a whole lot of people spinning out besides Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano and I think like, one other person.
That give and take. And as far as when you're in that position as a professional driver, you don't want to give that up.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's where like you have to rely on that other driver next to you. That's why certain drivers like when they race against people that they know, because they know what kind of
they can trust.
They're gonna, right. So like for all of those drivers to have the trust in each other to be like, hey, you know, I'm going to be here. You know, you're going to, hey, if I'm coming in here to let up and like, they kept it clean, and that's impressive.
Every time that turn, every time I see that turn, I always think about when Jimmy Johnson, back before he was Jimmy Johnson, when I think he was in the Xfinity series and he was coming down that hill, something snapped on his car, and he flew right into that wall at full speed and then got out on top of the car.
Was that the tires? Was that when he hit the whole bunch?
Yeah.
I tell you what, Jimmy Johnson has taken some hits.
Oh yeah.
Like some hits. I always think about that wreck at Pocono, how fast he hit that wall. And
Dale Jr.'s a bitch.
huh? I just,
Who said that?
I don't know.
What's that?
What
I
happened there?
sometimes I wonder though if that's what really ended Jimmy Johnson's career, because he never won after that, and I feel like he was just shook the rest of his career on that one.
Junior's the only one that came out about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't think all those other guys had trouble with their reflexes and all that? Every time you get in a crash, you lose a little bit. Because I wondered it too. You know, that's a good point. Like I wonder, like, how does Bobby Labonte, the ex-champion, and this guy, how do they just suck? How do they not be able to drive a car?
And it's like a crazy fall off too. It just happens out of nowhere.
Every time you get hit and all that, and you get rattled around, you don't think so, but your brain's getting rattled.
Oh yeah.
You know, everything else, your nervous system, everything isn't the same anymore after that. But yeah, Jimmy's been a part of some pretty wicked crashes.
Yeah. Yeah, you go read Dale Jr.'s book that he released a couple years ago about his concussions and everything. You'll know that it's a very real thing.
Oh yeah. So how about you, Matt? I'm assuming your grade's about the same, but what was your race grade for this weekend?
I gave it an A+. Just not to just double down on everything that Eric just said, but I'm gonna double down on everything that Eric just said. It was perfect. You know, another thing too that I've noticed the past couple of years is the MTJ and Chase at that track particularly have had some like outstanding battles.
Oh yeah.
And this year was no different. That battle towards the end there, you know, Chase trying to get around MTJ not giving him an inch, you know, that was just allowing Larson, you know, more time to get away from them. I just thought it was awesome. I mean, Eric said it's his favorite road course. I'm going to double down on that. It's easily my favorite road course, and I probably have it in my top 5 of overall tracks. There's just something about that place that I absolutely love, and again, just put on amazing racing. So yeah, an A+ for me.
Can I tell you what a dummy I am? Because Martin Truex Jr. has been running that paint scheme for a couple of years now. I forget what the sponsor is. I think the sponsor is Reeves, right? Or Reese's. Reese's Fine Foods, right?
Yeah.
So the whole entire race at Watkins Glen, I'm watching, I'm like, man, I could go for some ice cream right now. Because the side of the car, it looks like it has a big tub of ice cream. Do you know what that was? It's mashed potatoes. It was a big tub of mashed potatoes. I had no clue the whole entire time.
Eric Jones is sponsor.
Huh?
Eric Jones, when he was in the 20 car, he was sponsored by Reese's. Kenseth was sponsored. Reese's has been with Gibbs for a long time. And Whitey, don't feel bad. I thought the same thing, brother.
Yeah.
When that paint scheme first got, I thought the same thing,
I'm
dude.
like, man,
I might even have I thought I had a
hero card.
I thought
Hold on a second.
Of it, but it's at work. I do have one, but it's at work by my desk.
The whole time I'm like, man, I could go for some Turkey Hill ice cream right now, because I'm like, man, I should go pick up some.
I got
cookie dough.
Dude, wait a second. So you just broke news to me too, because
it's
that makes
garlic mashed potatoes.
Three of us. I'm looking at the paint scheme right now. Those cartons of mashed potatoes look identical
to ice cream.
Ice cream container.
Yeah.
Oh my god! So if anyone's listening to us that's not from our area, we have a convenience store chain called Turkey Hill, and they're known for their ice cream, really really good ice cream. And
Turkey Hill is actually nationwide. They're known as Loafin' Jug out in the West. And there's some other names for them, but you can get Turkey Hill ice cream pretty much anywhere. I think Walmart sells it nationwide. I
thought it was a local thing.
Too. So the dairy is in Pennsylvania. So Turkey Hill Dairy is in Pennsylvania, but it's a big chain. Yeah.
But if you Google out there, anyone listening, Reese's Nascar, and then you just look at the second Google image of Martin Truex Jr.'s number 19, and you look at the side right in front of the rear wheel, there's 3 containers of what I thought was ice cream.
Yeah.
And apparently they're mashed potatoes. Who gets mashed potatoes in cartons like
that? That's what I'm saying. Who needs that much mashed potatoes? Maybe for like a family of 14, you know, like what was that TV show?
Like a Sam's Club deal. Like if it's like a Costco, like where you get like a huge quantity of everything, you know?
Or maybe it's like a restaurant supply store or something like that. I just know, like, as I saw that on the internet later on that day, and I felt like such a dummy. I'm like, really? It's mashed potatoes? It feels.
But those,
It was a sponsor on my driver's car, and I thought the same thing, bro. So don't feel bad. I swear.
With those containers of mashed potatoes, and now if you immediately after that Google Turkey Hill ice cream and look at the container, they have like the red rim on it.
Yeah.
It looks identical to it.
Oh yeah,
unbelievable.
So you want to know what? I'm glad I'm not the only one.
No,
not the you guys one. Are making me feel less alone. But yeah, so yeah, any more thoughts on the race grade though? I think. Oh, you were talking Chase and Martin Truex Jr. battling out.
Yeah, that was it. That's all I had. Eric said everything I was going to say. Just fantastic race again.
Anytime you get me to like yell at my TV, like, oh no, ain't gonna make it, like stuff like that, like involved in the race, and it's an A for me, you know.
Yeah.
So I tell you what, I'm giving it an A also. I mean, and it's weird too because like. Thinking about the race, I can't tell you many real big highlights throughout the entire race, but I know I was glued to the race the whole entire time because like it was such a fast-paced race. Like I was watching, I'm like, man, we're already 20 laps in. There's only 40 laps left. Like this thing is going, or 60 laps left. Like this thing is going quick, you know? And yeah, just a nice quick race. I know, Matt, you said usually the average time at Watkins Glen's like a little over 2.5 hours. And
2 hours and I think it was like 2 hours and 15 minutes was like the average, and it was like 2 hours and 10 minutes this weekend.
Yeah,
so
and you want to know what? They did exactly what I wanted. They did all the pre-race stuff, the call to command before 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock was the green flag. Like, why can't we do that every single week? It makes it so much easier.
You know what I just noticed? Not to be self-involved, but back a couple weeks ago when we did the Road America grades, I noticed that every road course this year I gave it a B+, and that wasn't like that was just by accident.
Yeah.
So I just broke the old record there and gave it an A+.
And that
it's your favorite course though, so it makes sense.
The Glen broke through. Yeah.
No, I thought it was great. We saw some great strategies. We saw an exciting finish with Chase chasing down Kyle Larson, trying to make up time after going to the back of the field twice, I believe, right? Because wasn't there
definitely at the beginning of the race?
Back in the beginning, and then he went back again. Yeah,
because like an issue on pit road, it put him behind the pace and everything. Just tore through the field. It was so much fun. At one point, he was making up a second a lap, and he was only like 14 seconds down with like, what was it, 25 laps to go or something. Like, I thought he could pull it off, and I was praying he did, because I know people really don't care about other people's fantasy leagues, but I was watching our fantasy league, and the people, I was in like 5th for the day. Everyone in front of me had Kyle Larson winning. I had Chase as the top Chevy. I had Kyle Busch winning, but I had Chase as the top Chevy. I had Chevy and I had Hendrick winning. So if Chase could pull off that win, like I would get an extra 5 points. That would drop some people 15 points. Like I was looking at a good points day in fantasy. So that made it more exciting towards the end of the race. I was cheering on Chase. I'm like, come on, Chase, you could do it. Cut through that traffic. I was getting pissed off at Anthony Alfredo at first, but I'm like, no, hold up, Kyle Larson. You got to hold him up. You know, it was a lot of fun.
Can I also say another thing that I love that NBC does is the radio style broadcasts at these road courses. Absolutely. And they bring in Mike Bagley from the morning drive on Sirius XM NASCAR radio. It is, oh my God. I just think it brings that excitement of radio onto the big screen, and it's just so much fun. It's an added element that I think really, probably helped drive my rating up too.
Absolutely. And they do it really well too, just passing that baton to each other, like going throughout the whole entire road course. Like I love radio style, and I'm glad we're getting it again this week for Indy, the road course too. So,
you know what? We shit on, Fox in the beginning of this year for their broadcasts and how they did some stuff. And, we would all praise, NBC and the way they do it. But, yesterday, like, you made me think about it a little bit, Whitey, like when you were talking about, the battles in the front and like how you didn't have many big highlights.
Yeah.
I think that's because for once, I think NBC, they didn't really go through the field
as much as they could have.
But I'm not mad at them because the first 5 cars, you could throw a blanket over them for the whole entirety of that race. So like
that was the show all day long.
That was the show all day long.
That's where you want the show to be too.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of a driver that is in the back and runs mid pack in the 20s like mine, I didn't give 2 shits about it.
Yeah.
Racing is so good up front within the first 5 cars like that. I didn't even notice at first them not going to the field because I'm like, this is so exciting. Like, I only noticed it after the fact, like you said, when I'm like, damn, I'm like, not many highlights, not much to come from. Like, yeah, NBC kind of didn't go through the field, but I'm like, it wasn't their fault. They had to.
Didn't really have to.
Yeah.
I mean, the only real thing going on in the middle of the field was Brad Keselowski's the brake failures and whatnot. And I think Eric Jones did spin out. I don't know if they showed it on TV, but I did see it on the highlights.
I think he spun out right in the bus stop going into the bus.
I think Daniel Suarez kind of got into him, and they're like kind of de facto teammates too. So not great for those 2 guys. But I'm going to criticize the broadcast in a little bit, though. I love radio style, but I will criticize something in my records. Do you guys want to jump into the checkers and the records from the weekend?
Oh, yeah.
All right, Matt, you can go first on the checkers there.
So my checkers is going to Kyle Larson. Not for winning the race, albeit very impressive what he did.
Yeah.
I'm giving it to him because of what he's done with his second chance.
Yeah.
Last year he royally screwed up. There's no way around that. He did. And I honestly didn't know if there was going to be a future with him in the major series anymore, because we live in a world where once you get canceled, you get canceled. Yeah. He was given a second chance. He took the right paths to make sure that he righted his wrong, and he was brought back into the sport, and he's taken that second chance, and he's absolutely run with it. And so I think all the praise in the world goes to him from me anyway. Like I said, what he did was wrong, should never be done, but he's made up for it. And with 5 wins now, sitting pretty for the playoffs, he's got to be the championship favorite. He's unstoppable right now. So I think he's making the most out of a really lousy situation from last year. So that was my checkers. My wreckers is, and I love doing this, my wreckers is going to Penske.
Yeah.
But it's because of the disaster. Whitey, you touched on it a couple times. It's because of the disaster that 2 car was on Sunday. Yeah. Brad obviously knows his way around that track. Just look at his history at Watkins Glen. And he, every time the camera panned out to him, it's because he was spinning out. I don't know if I have to go out into my kitchen and get some of the Reynolds wrap and wrap it around my head or what with the tinfoil hat.
I think you got to put the hat on. I think you do.
Is Penske sabotaging him?
I don't know.
I think they've been for months, to be honest.
Because I'm not a tinfoil hat guy, as we've discussed ad nauseum before, but I'm starting to believe that that's what's going on. Which, if that's the case, it blows my mind, because when someone is as capable as Brad is of winning a championship and being a championship contender, I don't care if he's leaving your organization. Like he's still within your walls. Like I know that.
This is my thing. I don't think you get that setup as wrong as they got it. There's no way. Like, how do you get a setup that wrong where, like, you can't even hit your brakes? And, like, they have that brake bias adjuster in the car. And, like, I know it takes a few laps for it to set in, but, like, he couldn't even adjust with that. Like, he was just, that car, he might as well have just went in the garage. If I was Brad Keselowski, I would have pulled in the garage and said, fuck you.
Like, I'm done. I'm done. I give up. You know what? I don't feel like finishing this race today,
It just seems like he was set up to fail that whole race. And I don't know, I don't know if that's the case. Like I said, I'm really hard pressed to be like this, like tinfoil hat guy, but it just seems so fishy to me. And then and I know for a fact that not just at Penske, but everywhere, once a driver announces that they're leaving to go to a different organization, like they get left out of meetings. Like,
that's no secret.
Dale Jr. Dale Jr. talks about it like from a point of view that I think, he would know. He talks about it on his podcast all the time. So it's true. Like they get left out of meetings and stuff. Like it's ruthless. And I don't know why you would do that. Like that doesn't, I get it. You don't want to give them the information that you're learning, but like he's still in your walls. He's still competing for you. So I don't know. That's what my records is going to.
And that you have a sponsorship obligation too, to perform too. So you're shooting your own driver into the foot with the sponsors and everything. And like I said, like I said too earlier, we're going to a new car next year. It's all going to be different. Like, what is he going to take away from Team Penske that he already doesn't know to go to Roush with? You know, like, honestly, you know.
Yep. So
I agree.
Just, I don't know.
But I could see the tinfoil hat. I think he had some R&D brakes on there. I think they were trying some weight reduction techniques or something, and well, they just screwed him up on that one. How about you, Eric? What's your checkers and records for the weekend?
Well, coincidentally, mine are the exact same as Matt's.
Get out of here.
Different reasons. My checkers is going to Kyle Larson, as did Matt, but for a different reason. My reason is I shit on Larson in the beginning of the year when he couldn't come through. You know, he was almost there, you know, before he went on his run of wins. He was almost
Second
there.
Place, Kyle, you know.
And okay, he's blowing some of these.
So, though.
You know, and like, okay, here it is. Is this going to be the same old Kyle Larson? And I really criticized him. And, you know, yesterday, what he did was just, you know, to me, super impressive. You know, not known as a road course guy, but now he is
He's got
almost
two road course wins.
Guy. And, you know, I'm saying that because Chase Elliott, you know, is the road course guru in the sport right now for sure.
Yeah.
And for Larson to not make a mistake and know that the pressure was on there, to know that he always does just come in second and blows these races, to be able to keep that out of his mind and to be able to not, you know, make that mistake and keep that lead and finish that race, knowing that, like, he's got to keep this momentum going. And, you know, maybe he did put, you know, this is my way of saying I think he's put that old ways behind him. I think he's got over that hump of maybe if you want to call it bad luck. Yes, he is laser focused, and it was just very impressive to hold off Chase Elliott like he did. You know, and too, you know, MTJ, he was up there in the front all day too. So, like, you know, there's some guys out there that normally put ass whooping, you know, on the field, and he just went out there, he took it to them. And, you know, one little mistake going through traffic there, and I wanted to jump through my TV and strangle Anthony Alfredo in the worst
because you want to get out of the way.
When I saw that, I was like, are you fucking kidding me, bro?
See,
like, are you seriously kidding me? Like, I don't know. Like, I just thought that really, really, really irritated the shit out of me with what he did there. But, you know, Larson didn't let that get to him. He said, okay, this is going to happen. It's racing. There's lap traffic.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Line. This is, hey, he's racing too for, you know, other stuff. So, I just thought Larson overcoming a lot of his old past, you know, criticisms from myself, really was impressive in my eyes.
So 2 things on your checkers. Anthony Alfredo. At first, I was going to make Anthony Alfredo my wreckers for just being in the way.
Yeah.
And I rewatched the highlights, and I'm not saying he wasn't in the right, but he did have a right to keep his position because there was like 6 laps to go. He was fighting to stay on the lead lap. So who knows if a late race caution comes out or something like that. You want to stay on the lead lap. I'll give him a pass on there. Just knowing his history though, and how easy it is for him to take someone out. You don't take those kind of chances around the leader. So I will dog him for that.
I'm under the belief in those situations where it's like, do you battle the leader to stay on the lead lap and all that? You have to give up the 100% rule and all that. I don't believe that needs to be a blanket statement. I believe that is completely situational, where with 6 laps to go at Watkins Glen, Anthony Alfredo, you are not going to win the race. You're not going to, I don't care what the situation is, like move over. There's a huge battle happening right now and get out of the way.
See, but he was battling his own race too. He was in a race with whatever the 54 was or whatever. But I'm not going to defend Anthony Alfredo. Like, I don't care. I could tell you at the point that I think that Kyle Larson won that race, and it was on pit road. When he entered pit road for those green flag stops, he was right behind Martin Truex Jr., who was in the lead at the time. And you watched him just edge his nose in to get his nose right around Martin Truex Jr.'s back tire, just keeping it super tight on pit road so his pit crew could have that real quick pit stop and get him out in front. He gained the lead on pit road during green flag stop, and that was super impressive. Not only for him to have the wherewithal to kind of push it on pit road and keep real close to Martin Truex Jr. in that way, but just on his pit crew to execute perfectly, and then of course to weave through traffic the way he did without any mistakes, without locking up his brakes, like you said, Eric. Just an all around solid performance from Kyle Larson. Like he was ice cold. And you want to know what? It kind of pisses me off about Kyle Larson listening to his radio, because he's not very enthusiastic at all. Like after he wins, he's like, "Yeah, thanks guys. Oh, you guys did a great job."
And
I'm like,
because he wins 3 times a week.
Exactly.
And when you win 3 times a week, you're just like, "Oh, okay,
oh
thanks."
yeah, I got another one. He won Monday night sprint race. So like, yeah,
he like won 21 grand. I'm just gonna go win 21 grand here.
Yeah,
and it's like that to me is like, winning to him is nothing, because it's
expected.
Like,
it is
just like that's just what he does. Like it's his job and he's good at it and he wins. So it's like he thinks he's supposed to do that. Just like Kyle Busch, when he gets mad when he doesn't win, when he comes in second, that's just a racer being a racer, expecting to win. Yep. But my wreckers, speaking of wrecking and everything, Penske Racing. I almost had Penske as my checkers, just because, hell yeah, when 2 Penske guys take each other out, that's a great day for everybody.
And it's happened a lot in the past.
Yeah. So, but once again, for a different reason, Penske just overall, I don't know what I was thinking. I know Whitey touched on a little bit, but they fucked my whole fantasy day up, man. Like, yeah. I don't know why I believed in them. They were starting 1-2. I'm like, okay.
I don't know why you believed in him either. When you said you started Brad Keselowski, I was like, that's a bad move.
Because I'm like,
I started it too.
I had like 6 or 7 starts for them left, and I go, Brad had a good run. I go, maybe they just let everything slide. Now they've got the information out there. It's out in the open. Maybe they're just gonna go, and he did run well the previous week. So I'm like, okay, maybe something's gonna happen. And Logano, he's always a sleepy, you could throw him in there, guy.
Logano is a good road course racer. He is a solid guy.
And they just completely just ruined my day. But, I was happy that, when Brad started having his issue, I was like, oh, well, here it goes. This is it. It's over. And then when he took out Logano, at first I was pumped, but then I realized I started both of them in fantasy. So for different reasons, Penske fucked my fantasy whole day up, my whole lead up. You guys, it was like I went into this week, if I could have got a little bit more, but I ended up coming out, shit end of the stick here. So,
of course it was Penske.
Yeah,
of course it was Penske.
I just remembered every week I forget to give you the highlights of the Watkins Glen race. We had 4 cautions for 6 laps, 7 lead changes among 7 drivers. Your top 5, of course, Kyle Larson, your winner, Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, and Denny Hamlin. I just want to get that in before my checkers. That has nothing to do with it. My checkers goes to the command and Tyler Hoover. I don't know if you guys know who Tyler Hoover was or heard his name before he gave the command on Sunday, but I love his YouTube channel. I've been watching him for a couple of years now. He's got Hoovie's Garage on YouTube. He's an automotive journalist. He writes for, I think, Jalopnik and Motor Trend and a whole bunch of stuff. I think he had a TV show on Motor Trend Network at one point. His call to command was fantastic. And I didn't even see it live. I saw it on a clip on the NASCAR Facebook page, and a bunch of old people were complaining because he fell down in excitement after. But he gave it. He's like, drivers, start your engines. And he fell down and he was like convulsing because he was so excited. And I thought he just gave so much presence and excitement. Like, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear someone go, drivers, start your engines. I don't want to hear fucking Jason Biggs like we've been getting during the pandemic, literally phoning it in on Zoom going, hey, it's Jason Biggs. Check out Cherry's Wild after the NASCAR race. Oh, and the drivers, start your engines. Like, we got so many bad
you're right. Like,
call to commands.
You're supposed to get the whole show started.
Yeah.
That is
build the excitement.
What circus guy, the ringleader, or whatever, the circus. You get everyone fired up.
The best of all time, in my mind, is one. Maybe you guys have heard of him, Larry McReynolds.
Yeah.
You ever see his? I think it might have been Daytona or Talladega. I forget which one it was. Go back and Google.
Talladega. I think it was Talladega.
Go back and Google, like when you guys have time. Larry McReynolds' command to fire engines, and he just leaned into it. And like you guys said, like that is what needs to happen when you have a command. You know what? You know who got to do the command for start of a race? This will blow you guys away. I don't think I have this wrong, and if I do, he'll let me know. Mark Reilly, my father, did it for a truck series about 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Really?
I'm pretty sure he did. He'll let me know if I was wrong, but like I remember that as a child, him doing that.
How did they introduce him? Is he a part of like an organization or something that they're promoting?
He used to work with Keystone Automotives, and I think there was a tie-in that way somehow.
All right.
I'll have to ask him about it once we get off here. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he got to do it. Dad, when you listen to this, if you know how to, comment on the YouTube page below this video and tell your story, or even like comment on the Facebook page when we post this.
Oh, and you want to know what? If you're watching on YouTube, comment your checkers and records. I want to know what the fans thought of the race this weekend. Let us know your race grades too. Let us know on Twitter and the Facebook page. That was actually always one of my dreams, working in radio. For anyone that doesn't know, I was a night DJ for a few years on a local radio station here just outside of Pocono. My dream was not to announce the cup race, because that's usually a big name, but like do the truck race, like, oh, from Froggy 101 FM, Michael D. White. And I get to go, drivers, start your engines.
Hey, maybe one day they'll have the three dudes from the Bump and Run podcast do it. You never know.
You're hosts of the Bump and Run podcast. I think that'd be phenomenal. But yeah, just you want to know what? That was my checkers for the weekend. Just seeing that. Also, I knew you guys were all going to have probably Kyle Larson taking something. I want to do something a little different. Got to give love to Radio Style too. I already said it. And the 3 p.m. green flag, not a 3 p.m. start time where the show is going on and then you get a green flag at 16 after. No, 3 p.m. on the dot. Wave that green flag. I hope they learn for the future and for next year, because I thought that was absolutely awesome. My wreckers, we praise NBC broadcast on here, and I'm going to wreck the broadcast for the end of the race, because maybe I'm biased, because I didn't get to see what happened to my guy, Tyler Reddick, how he got a top 10. But as soon as Kyle Larson crossed the finish line, they went to his car, they showed his crew chief, they showed fans in the stands. And normally I wouldn't care, because you kind of see the top 10 coming right behind them. You know how it's going to shake out. But at a road course, they're kind of spread out further along. I would have liked to have seen more of the cars finishing in line, because Tyler Reddick coming to the final checkered flag was in 11th. And then all of a sudden he got a top 10 finish, and I had no idea how. They didn't tell you how it happened. Ross Chastain ran out of fuel. I didn't know if Ross wrecked out. At first I was trying to figure out, well, who's in the top 10 that's not in the top 10 anymore. I'm like going down like, oh, Harvick's still there. Everyone like, oh, it's Ross Chastain. I go to Twitter. No one knows. Everyone's speculating. Did Ross wreck on the last turn? No, his engine sputtered and he ran out of fuel and he coasted to the line.
Lineup too.
Yeah, so did I. And that's why I wanted to know. I really wanted to know, because I had him in my fantasy lineup and I was confused. And like, no one talked about it on the broadcast. No one brought it up. Twitter only mentioned it because it was probably someone like in at the race who saw it happen. Like, that really made me mad. And that's my only complaint of the whole entire weekend. So I guess it was a good weekend. So,
I've got an update. I texted Mark, and he said yes, the Topeka, Kansas Lund 200. So Lund, I think, was like a something with automotives, I guess. I believe he repped it at Keystone.
I know what you're talking about.
So Whitey, I know you're a computer genius. You're really good at finding stuff. The Topeka, Kansas Lund 200. If you can find that video somewhere on the internet, please send it my way.
Does he remember what year it was?
probably not. Keep the show rolling. I'll see if I can get any more information out of him.
All right. I am searching it right now.
Oh, speaking of little weird things, I was at the grocery store Saturday, and I pull up into the parking spot, and right across from me, I see a Mustang, 1994.
Yeah? A little red Mustang, a little convertible.
Red Mustang, yeah, a little convertible. And I'm like, that's a pretty clean 94 Mustang. I'm like, that thing is like, it's in good shape. Here, I look closer. On the bottom side skirt, it says official pace car of the Indianapolis 500.
Yeah.
1994. And on the back of the car, there was an actual Indy, the wings. They're like, badge. The badge was on the back of the car and everything. So what are the chances that we're going to the road course, but I see at the grocery store the official pace car of the Indianapolis 500 from 1994?
That's pretty cool.
That's sick.
I always used to like to look at those pace cars. There was a old, I think it was a 1981. I think that's when they changed the body style of the Pontiac Trans Am GTA, and there's a silver pace car edition that I would always see online. I'm like, man, I would love to have that car. As a teenager, I always wanted a Trans Am. Like, that was my big deal. I think when I what's that?
Like Billy Madison.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. I want it either a black or a red 1988 Pontiac Trans Am GTA with those gold honeycomb rims on it. I think those are the coolest cars ever made. And one day, they keep going up in price too. One day, maybe I'll own one. After I go through my midlife crisis, I'll pick one of those bad boys up. But yeah, Matt, I did a quick Google search. I couldn't find the Topeka, Kansas Lund 200, but I did find notes for a Craftsman Truck Series race, the Lund Look 275 at Watkins Glen. It was at Heartland Park, Topeka, maybe.
He said it was like he thinks it was like early 1992 or something, somewhere in that region. But like, for whatever reason, I would have bet that would have put me at 2 years old if it was early 92. Yeah. And I specifically remember watching it on TV and like being blown away. So I want to say it was a little deeper into the 90s than 92.
Didn't the Craftsman Truck Series start in 1994 or 1995?
Yeah, I don't think he's right, but no, I mean,
I'm gonna do some searching. I'm gonna do some deep.
You're
digging.
really good. You're really good at doing the investigative work. So see what you can find. We'll try to wrap a bow up on this for next week's episode.
Yeah, hopefully I'll have an answer for you guys for next week. That's pretty much all. That's pretty much all I have for Watkins Glen, though. Do you guys have anything else to add for Watkins Glen?
That's all I had.
All right.
Yeah, no, great race. If you missed out, that's on you.
Yeah. Great race. Yeah. I think we all have to go to Watkins Glen next year. Yep. Matt, agreed. I know you usually take vacation in early August. I think we got to all clear the table. In 2019.
My buddies from New Jersey were there. They were Snapchatting me. My buddies from New Jersey, they were there.
Oh, who's your buddies from Jersey? It's Lance and somebody. Lance. Yeah. What'd they say about it?
Oh, they loved it. They thought it was great.
Our buddy PJ's.
Yep. Yeah, PJ was there. So, we had some listeners out there, at the race. So
we had some boots on the ground up there.
Yeah.
I think we definitely have to make a point to get there.
Yeah, next year I think we gotta do the whole camping experience up at Watkins Glen. I think it'll be a whole lot of fun. Hopefully, maybe we could convince all our buddies that we got to go to Pocono or go to Watkins Glen. It's only 2.5 hour drive. It's not bad at all.
I don't think it'll be that hard.
No.
After this past vacation and being in 100 plus degree temperature for 5 days, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that I'm getting a vacation in earlier in the summer next year.
Okay. Yeah. Completely understandable.
Yeah.
Hopefully next year it's not as hot as it's been this week in Pennsylvania and New York as it was this week for next year. But since that is it for Watkins Glen, let's put a bow on it and tell you who came in last place here on the Bump and Run podcast. Every podcast talks about the winner. We just did it. But we also like to highlight the last place driver, James Davison. He is from Australia. He was from the Australian Supercar Series. I think he is a fantastic Road Course racer. He just had a rough day. His day ended with an electrical issue. Is surprisingly, he was the only driver not to finish the race on Sunday. Everybody else finished the race. He was the only one due to electrical issues. Of course, he runs for Rick Ware Racing, so no shocker there. Hopefully, he's one of those guys that I would like to see move into maybe not a top tier ride, but move up to a better lower tier ride and hopefully show what he could do with some better equipment. I feel like he would run really well in Corey LaJoie's Spire number 7, which he has done nothing this year. In fact, I forgot Corey LaJoie was even on track this week. I don't think I saw him once. But that is the last place driver. It'll be interesting to see who comes in last place next week, because we move on to the Indy Road Course. But first, how much time we got? We got about an hour. We're about an hour, 10 minutes in. Let's do some pick a lanes. We teased the All-Star race one. I feel like that's going to be too long to get into today. Let's just do some quick ones. The NTT IndyCar, pick a lane segment. This is where I give you a topic. The choose cone is out. You can choose either way, how you decide, and we'll debate it a little bit. The NTT IndyCar Racing Series will run a few races exclusive to the Peacock app next year. Now, it is no secret NBCSN is going away at the end of the year. IndyCar is going to be running a lot of races on the USA Network and NBC's mothership station. I assume NASCAR is going to be doing the same deal. They have 4 races that are going to be exclusive to NBC's streaming service, Peacock, which I believe you have to pay for, but you can get free with most cable providers. It's not really a big issue if you have a cable package, and I'm sure most NASCAR fans do to watch NBCSN and FS1 races to begin with. Should NASCAR go full streaming? Do you see that in the future, or do you think that the age range in the audience is going to keep it where it needs to stay on network television and cable television? Or do you think the later generations, the older generations, will move to streaming to watch the races?
Honestly, I'm not against it going to streaming services, and here's why. Let me explain, and maybe you guys will agree with me, maybe you'll disagree with me. I pay an astronomical amount of money for cable, and honestly, literally the only thing I have cable for is for live sports. It's all I watch anymore. I used to watch, I know, we always talk about, Discovery with Shark Week. I watch Shark Week and all that, but literally besides like maybe Shark Week, like it's almost exclusively live sports is the only reason why I have cable. If we were to go forward, which I think not only NASCAR, but I think every major sporting series is going to eventually be go to streaming services, whether it's on their own app or
like an ESPN
bundle, an ESPN Plus, and a bundle deal with networks. I think it's going to be a lot of streaming coming up in the next 5 or 10 years. I just think that's the way we're going. And if that's the case, I'm actually okay with it, because if I'm spending, most of these streaming services, like you said, Peacock, ESPN Plus, they're only $4 or $5 a month, which isn't bad. You break that down over a year, and it's still less money than what I'm paying for per month in cable.
Yeah.
So I would actually be okay with it. What do you guys think?
How about you, Eric? What do you think?
I'm not going to disagree with anything you said, Matt. I don't have cable. I have internet. That's it. I have Xfinity and I stream. So I have the Fox Sports app, and as long as I have internet, I have the Fox Sports app. I can watch my races on Fox. Then when it goes to NBC, I watch it on the NBC Sports app. So like I get my NASCAR there, but my football and other stuff, it's a little trickier. I'm not going to lie. Do I go to Reddit and do I pirate everything I watch? Pretty much, yes. But that's the internet. It's 2021. If you ain't friggin' stealing streams, then you ain't living.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you're a Jaguars fan too for football, so you're not watching those on an antenna in the local network. They're not showing those games unless they're playing the Eagles.
Exactly. So I do just stream, and it kind of backfired on me a little bit over the summer. because I don't get CBS anything. They didn't have like their app, whatever. I couldn't watch the SRX series.
Yeah.
I could not find it. I have the Fire Stick. I have, I could not find those races anywhere besides Rabbit Ears. I would have to hook Rabbit Ears up to the TV and, kind of get it that way. But I think the way the sport's going, I think we are getting a lot of new, younger fans. I'm not necessarily convinced that would be the reason why. I think geographically, I think it's an issue. Certain places can't get the internet connection that cable could get to right now. So
in fact,
I think
there's a lot of places in the United States, people don't realize they don't even have access to cable. A lot of people listen on either satellite radio, on NASCAR radio, and the MRN broadcast. A lot of people have to listen because of it.
They have to listen with satellite because that's the only way that they could get it. Yeah. Right. So that would be my only issue. But I don't know if they're planning on doing this anytime soon. So I think they could get not to get political, but they passed an infrastructure bill. So hopefully maybe we get a little
Let's get some internet everywhere. Let's get some high-speed fiber going.
If you want, since TV is such a big part of these monies, these deals, and these big networks, hey, let's get your programming and your voice out to everybody, because that would be my only concern is the locations of some of these people. But other than that, I'm with you, Matt. I would be fine with it because I do it.
I'm looking for an excuse to cut my cable, man. I'm itching to cut it because it's my biggest bill that I have besides, my actual, more rent and mortgage, it's my biggest bill that I have. And if I know Notre Dame is even they have an NBC deal. They've had an NBC deal for decades, and they're even doing a streaming game that's going to be specific to Peacock.
Yeah.
So they're even jumping into it. So it's only a matter of time.
Barstool Sports is actually going to be getting into it with the Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
So they're going to strike a deal with Major League Baseball to just stream games. So here we have a website, essentially, a sports website / media powerhouse in the sports world, gonna stream Major League Sports. So you never know where that could go down the road and who could sponsor, someone might come into NASCAR and be like, hey, we could get this to a majority of your fans if we stream it, and we'll keep it cheaper so that if they do need to watch or get this subscription, it's not going to be a burden on the fan. So you never know how this is going to go. I think streaming is in the future, maybe not now. I think in 5-10 years, definite.
I already pay $5.99 a month for the NASCAR app to listen to the scanners, so I wouldn't mind paying a little extra to watch the races too. And Matt, whatever you do, please do not cut that cord, because I know me and Eric both use your login to log into the FS1 and the NBC apps.
When I move and I get
I'm on Dana's now.
Okay, you're on your girlfriend's. I'm still using Matt's every week.
Whitey, when I move and I get Comcast and I switch over, I'm gonna start charging you monthly, buddy. I won't give you the password.
All right. Well, you want to know what? I'll find it somewhere else. Don't worry. I got more friends than just you with cable. I'm sure I can pull some strings somewhere.
I kid because I love you, buddy. You know you'll get the Reilly special.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that.
Legally stream one way or another, Whitey.
Well, you know what kills me, and this is a little personal note. My girlfriend has cable. Her cable box doesn't work, and she won't call Comcast to get a replacement. I'm like, you're paying all this money for cable and internet, and you can't even watch cable. She's like, well, I just watch streaming stuff. I go, yeah, but you're paying for it. It makes me so sad to waste the money.
So
I was thinking about that today. I'm like, I gotta get a cable box over there. It's driving me nuts. My mother has cable too. I could always steal her password. She just doesn't know it. She's an older woman. She's got everything written down in a little notepad somewhere. So I got to figure out what her login and password is so I could steal the cable stream. But I digress. I would like to move to a streaming app though. The problem is when everyone starts doing streaming apps, it becomes more expensive cable to sign up for everything. So I could see that becoming an issue in the future. But if they'd struck a deal like Peacock or something and it was viable, I would watch all the races online. Let's see. Next topic. We were just coming off. This was the first race that we had in a couple weeks because of the Olympic breaks. There was a 2-week break because, of course, NBC has the full rights to the Olympics. They broadcasted 24 hours a day on all their different networks. So there was no time for NASCAR. NASCAR got pushed away, and the drivers seemed to enjoy it because they got a 2-week vacation, essentially. The teams got some time off. And I was just wondering, should we have a 2-week break every summer? Do you think the break was good for the sport at all?
Go ahead, Eric. I see you shaking your head.
I'm going to say no. I think for the drivers, I think they enjoy it. We talked a little bit earlier about the schedule is going to be released. And I think that depends on whether or not they could get a 2-week break or not.
Yeah.
We're going to find out this year with the way the schedule's going with this 2-week break. Olympics obviously was the reason for that. But we'll see how this shakes out with these races late in the season and the weather that they have to encounter. And if we want to keep changing the schedule, you can only be at certain tracks at certain parts of the year. So the 2-week break is nice, but then you might always have to run certain races at certain times of the year in the schedule, and it might cause schedule conflict.
Okay.
That might be the only thing that I could think of. But I think for the drivers, I think they enjoy it. Me, I hate it because anytime in this world and environment, once one thing stops, everything else keeps moving forward. So yeah, even though it's only 2 weeks, I did kind of fall out of my groove,
Yeah.
My wheels fell off the track a little bit there in those 2 weeks. And, it just took me out of a groove that I was really enjoying being in as a fan. And as, doing this show with you guys, it really kind of put a little twist on everything. It kind of shook us a little bit. So,
I think we're still recovering from it too, to be honest with you.
I think so too.
I know once, especially once Daytona gets here for that last race of the regular season, our blood's going to be boiling, ready for it. But it's been kind of hard to get back into it. And yes, Watkins Glen was amazing, and I'm not taking a thing away from that. And I'm not trying to talk out of both sides of my mouth by saying it's one of my favorite tracks, but also saying it's still just a road course because it was an amazing race. That being said, it's hard going back to back road courses. I'm not thrilled about Indy this week. I'll just say that.
I'm not thrilled about it either.
I would have liked to see them, maybe throw Michigan in between these two, so we're not going back to back. But I digress. I'll be honest, Eric. You kind of talked me off of my point. I was going to say I'm not against it either. The only way I'd be okay with it is if all other bye weeks were gone. They had it straight from Daytona, leading all the way up to the 2-week break, and then after the 2-week break, it was back into it all the way to the end of the season, which I guess they kind of.
We only had 1 week off since Daytona though, and that was Easter. Normally we have 2. Normally we have Easter and Mother's Day, and they got rid of the Mother's Day one.
Yeah,
so we had a lot of races right in a row.
I'd rather, but you know what though? Looking back on it, I would rather go back to that. Give me a 1 week off late spring. Give me another week off, 1 week off in the middle of the summer, and then let's ramp it up for the
weekend breaks.
Right, but just 2 of them, instead of a 1-2 week stretch. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like you said, Eric, it's been hard to kind of get back into it. The 2-week break really killed me. Love the Olympics, but that's not every year. It's every 4 years in the summer. So I hope that that's not part of their plans next year.
Yeah, I'm for it. I enjoyed it, but I will agree it did kind of kill the momentum, So I like the compromise where maybe we have a week off in between the end of June and the 4th of July race or something, or the week off after the 4th of July. Kind of just something to break up because in previous seasons, we had 2 days off early on. We would have Mother's Day and then you'd have Easter, and they're both kind of close to each other. And we didn't even have Mother's Day off. It was a Saturday night race the day before Mother's Day. We just had the Sunday off. So I don't know. I like the break just to recharge. Even as a fan, it was nice to do something else. The problem is
a wet noodle, or is it actually 3 weeks off though?
No, it's just 2 weekends. 2 weekends.
But there's an extra week in there though, right?
Well, I mean technically, yeah. Technically it's 3 full weeks, but it was 2 weekends. Yeah.
But it's 2 weekends. So when you have 1 weekend off, that's actually 2 weeks. So like this 2 weekends in a row
was 3 weeks.
3 full weeks of nothing. That's where it gets me. We're thinking as weekends, but you're actually there's that whole
the beginning of the week. Yeah.
Too, you know?
I think the major problem for us too, there was no real news going on. I was checked out from like listening to NASCAR radio for the last 2 weeks. I was listening to other podcasts and everything. So I will give you that. It does kill the momentum, but I don't know. I feel like I feel like it was nice having a weekend to do something too, like a Sunday free in the middle of the summer.
Like,
you know?
I feel like this 2 week break was like if you take Wednesday off of work.
Yeah. See, I like to take Wednesdays off of work though.
The playoffs are right here around the corner. Yeah. Why not have a 1 week break like right after Daytona before the playoffs start? You know what I mean? Like do it.
See, I want to do that though. I want that momentum from Daytona going into the playoffs. I think that's how you kill momentum. I think
that's actually, Eric, what I have written down here too. If we're also going to do it, I want it like at the end of the regular season, give a 2 week break, and then let's get right into the playoffs. But Whitey's right. Like, I don't want to lose that momentum. Like we're going to have coming off of Daytona, no matter what happens, whether it's
anything,
it's just going to roll us right into the playoffs.
I think if anything, you have that break the weekend before Daytona. That way you're going in, you're like, okay, well, we have a cutoff race here coming up. We got 1 week off. The teams could kind of recharge, or they could double down and get working on that Daytona car. Make sure it's ready. Your last chance for the playoffs kind of builds for the fans because they're like, oh man, I can't wait for Daytona next week. It's the end of the playoffs. Anything could happen. We have that surprise winner like we had last year with William Byron. Hopefully it's Tyler Reddick this season. Like, you never know. Just sliding that in there. But I think that's how you keep the momentum going before the playoffs. I think if you ended after that cutoff race, then you're killing all your momentum going into Darlington and that long weekend.
Though, it's got to stay at 1 week at a time. I don't
I think that's a unanimous decision.
Yeah, I think you're right. The 2 weekends is too long.
Yep, agreed.
All right, the last pickle lane I have, and we've kind of touched on this throughout the months of doing the podcast. Watkins Glen was a nice fast race, getting in 2 hours and 11 minutes. 3 p.m. green flag. It started immediately, right on time. And then it was done by 5:30. Like the sun was still out. Got to go out and had a nice dinner.
Amazing.
Yeah. Is it time to shorten the length of races? We've seen it at Pocono. They've shortened the racing lengths and it's created better racing. Is it time? I'm not going to say you don't touch the crown jewels. You don't touch the Daytona 500. You don't touch like the Southern 500, the Coke 600. That all stays the same. But for a regular like 400-mile race, so you cut down that down to like 350, 300 miles. What do you guys think about that?
1,000%. We've all said it. We all agree. You know, I actually had to, I saw like I was looking on Sunday, like, oh, I need to know, you know, what exact time is green flag. Cause I was on vacation. I just needed to like kind of plan out the day.
Yeah.
And, I kept seeing 3 o'clock. And I'm like, no, but like what time is actual green flag?
You always do that math. I hate it.
And Pete Pistone from the Morning Drive always sends it out. So he was like my last resort. I went to his Twitter and he was like, you know, PSA public, you know, green flag is actually at 3 o'clock today.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I guess it's at 3 and I'll be damned. They were going green at 3 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much they proved that it could be done, both shortening the race and getting it in at the scheduled time it's supposed to start.
Yeah.
And I think the least they could do, because I agree with you, Matt, everything you said, you nailed it. But I'll add one thing. If they don't want to do that and shorten the races, if they want to do something first to try it out, get rid of the stage cautions. Let it go green.
Yeah.
Don't have those cautions. That'll even save time. You know what I mean? Like, just, have the points, everything there, but just don't throw that yellow. Just let it happen as it is. You know, that'll save time. Because like Whitey said, like, without those stage cautions, Watkins Glen, there's only 2 cautions. You know what I mean? And like,
yeah.
That race might have been an hour and 45 minutes.
I completely agree with you. They bang that drum once again. I bring it up all the time. The Dale Jr. download. They talk about that all the time. Where just throw the flag where it's it's the end of the stage. You've got your points. Keep on racing. Don't throw a caution.
Right.
Just throw the green and white checkers.
Just
count the points and keep it going. I tend to kind of lean towards like I don't mind that idea, but NASCAR loves to bunch those cars up and get them going again. So I don't think that's going anywhere.
Yeah.
No, and
that's a good point. They do love that. So, I mean, restarts are exciting. I'm not going to deny that they're not. Yep. I do enjoy them. Like you said, turn 1 at Watkins Glen. You get those restarts coming down in there. If there was 17 cautions, there were 17 opportunities that we would see them squeezing into that turn 1. So, and I'm sure that's what a lot of people would talk about too. So I get that point. But I'd like to see them do it.
Yeah. Shorten the time up.
I agree. The only problem is like, I like consistency. And if you do one thing for a road course, like I feel like it's unfair not to do it at like, at an oval, So
I'm talking in general, just
I am too.
Oh,
yeah, I am too.
Yeah, I say
so get rid of stage cautions altogether.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep the stage points and everything.
Yeah. Just get rid of the cautions. I see. I hear you. The only problem is they do love to bunch those cars up together.
Yeah, they're not going to do it. It's not going anywhere.
And that's when you get those debris on track phantom cautions and stuff. Like they've been doing that for years.
Yeah,
so
it's not going anywhere.
I guess you're right. You either get the phantom debris caution or you get a stage caution. One's going to come no matter what.
Yeah, NASCAR is going to let that play out the way they want it to play out.
The phantom debris cautions have all but gone away if you've noticed it.
Oh,
that doesn't happen much at all.
It's crazy. Wait, where's that? Get that tinfoil back out.
Yeah.
Down this yeah, write that down. We should get into that a little bit more.
Yeah,
we'll save that one for the off season maybe. We're not going to get to the playoff or not the playoff, the All-Star format and the Olympic style events that we want to do. We'll save that for maybe next week. Maybe we'll get to next week. I don't know. It depends on time. But we are getting late in the day. Let's get into next week and the preview. We are heading to Indianapolis, not for the Brickyard 400, but the Indy Road Course. We're going to be road course racing for the second week in a row. Xfinity on track Saturday, 4 p.m. on NBCSN for the Pennzoil 150 at the Brickyard. And then Cup is going to be on track 1 p.m.
There it is.
At the Brickyard.
Yes, 1 p.m.
Oh,
so they're proving that they could do. They're proving that they could do it at 1 o'clock
on NBC, the mothership for the Verizon 200 at the Brickyard. Practice on Saturday, 11 a.m. and qualifying Sunday morning, 9 a.m. We got practice and qualifying for this race. Of course, none of the Cup stars have been to the road course, except a couple Xfinity guys that moved up. Chase Briscoe has experience from last year. They drove the road course in the Xfinity Series race last year. Austin Cindric going to be moving up for one race, his final race of the Cup Series. But other than that, a complete unknown for the Cup Series, which means, Matt, I don't think you have any stats this week, do you?
I don't. I have some betting odds and everything. I do have one stat though, that this freaking race is going to be over by like 4 p.m. on Sunday. That's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah. No, not a lot of stats because we have nothing to pull from, right? Just it's 14 turns. It's just under 2.5 miles in length. There's a couple long straightaways, some hard braking zones. So it definitely has the chance to produce some good racing. We just don't know because we've never seen the Cup guys there. But I mentioned betting favorites. So I'm going to just get into that. You have at 20-1 odds, you have a tie with Austin Cindric, AJ Allmendinger, and William Byron. So I think, if you want to throw every dollar down, you get 20 out of it. So I think those aren't bad.
Maybe bet on William Byron.
I think
that's a good bet.
It's not bad. Joey Logano and Christopher Bell, 15-1 odds. Another ones that you might want to think about throwing some money down on. Even Denny Hamlin, 12-1 odds. Kyle Busch 10-1 odds. So you have a chance to make some good money here if you're willing to throw some down. And then your heavy favorites, MTJ 11-2 odds, Kyle Larson 11-4 odds, and then these might be the best odds I've seen at any track this year. Here's Chase Elliott at 21-10 odds. So choose wisely. I actually won this week. I'm looking at the grid right now, and I frickin' won. I won the money.
I won the money. The money is mine. I won the money. I love that movie. I think that's the best vacation movie of them all.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was a tight one on points, though. Martin Truex Jr. scored, Matt, 44 points, so he was the big winner this week for our picks. Eric picked Kyle Busch. He got you 39 points. I picked Chase Elliott. He got me 38 points. So me and Eric were just separated by one single point. I can't believe none of us, I can believe none of us thought to pick Kyle Larson. He's been dominant all year long. He did win a road course at Road Atlanta not too long ago, or not Road Atlanta, Road America. Oh, my Atlanta. But yeah, I thought it was going to be the Chase Elliott show, but that means I get to pick first. I want to pick Chase again.
No, wait a second. Chase won Road America.
Did he?
Yeah.
Where Kyle Larson won Sonoma.
Sonoma.
He was out there drinking some wine, and his wife was shotgunning beers.
That's right. Right.
Yeah, so I came in last, barely, with Chase. I'm going to pick Chase again, but not Elliott. I'm going to pick Chase Briscoe. As a dark horse, because he's run really well in road courses. He got himself a top 10 finish at Watkins Glen. He placed 9th. He was near the front of the pack for a little bit there, and he loves Indy. He is an Indy guy. Of course, he's a big Tony Stewart fan. Growing up as a kid, always dreamed of racing at the Brickyard. And he has that Xfinity Series race experience from last year. I know they're getting practice and qualifying, so that might be erased by that, what little advantage he might have going into it. But I just feel like, if we're going to have a dark horse winner, it's going to be him. So we'll see what happens. I mean, who knows? Eric Almirola won at New Hampshire a couple weeks ago, so anything is possible. How about you, Eric? Who are you picking?
I'm going to go Redemption Weekend. Reason I wore this shirt, I think C. Bell.
Okay.
There's a reason he's not responding to Kyle. He's trying to just not let it, it's all business from this point forward. He knows what it's got to get done. And I think he's going to go out there, and I think he's going to get it done.
He's going to put up a show. All right. I like it.
I really wanted to pick either Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, or Martin Truex Jr., and all three fell to me.
Now it's like, who do you pick now? You know, like you have all the options.
I know. I'll tell you
one. To pick William Byron. I'll tell you that. I for some weird reason, I just think like new tracks, weird things. I think like younger is the way to go.
I mean, William Byron got a 6th place finish in Watkins Glen this past week.
I know.
Christopher Bell got 7th, and that was after getting into that dust up. So
we have practice and qualifying. I'm going with the guy who loves practice and qualifying. I'm going Kyle Busch. Going with the Candyman. You know, I don't love that pick. I don't.
I think it's a good pick.
But I'm going with him.
If I didn't pick him last week, I was going to pick him this week.
Yeah, I'm going with him.
Back to back,
Candyman.
So the
Candyman can.
The only reason why I didn't pick Chase Elliott was because I picked him last week. That's why I went with Chase Briscoe. I wanted to do something different from last week. But yeah, no, I mean,
I went with Kyle Busch 2 weeks ago, and he got me a point. A point. Single point.
Kyle Busch is,
and I pick him. He gave me 39.
Yeah.
Well, he got 4th place, and you want to know what? You're right though. He loves practicing qualifying, and if anyone, I mean, any of these guys, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, they could all win here easily. We could be talking about Denny Hamlin getting his first win of the season. We could be talking about Kevin Harvick getting a win at Indy. He got a top 10 this past week. He got a top 10 this past week. Like, it could happen. You don't know.
Okay.
I feel like this race is either it's gonna fall into one of the regular hands, like Martin Truex Jr. or Chase Elliott or Kyle Larson, or it could be anybody. I don't know.
Hey, I'm going with C-Bell, just like Daytona Road Course. They weren't there. You know what I mean? Newer course on the track.
You never know.
The young guns, I think the young guns are the ones that are going to figure it out and get the win here.
Eric, 15-1 odds too. Make some good money if you put some bucks on them.
We'll see what happens. It should be interesting. We will break it all down on Monday. But first, let's give a quick little playoff grid update. So far, we are 23 races in, only 3 races to go until the playoffs. We have 13 different winners. There is only 3 open spots. Will Tyler Reddick point his way in? He made up some ground in Watkins Glen. He's 15 points to the good. I'm very happy about that. We'll see if the luck continues. But right now, locked into the playoffs, it is Michael McDowell, Christopher Bell, William Byron, Kyle Larson, Martin Truex Jr., Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Alex Bowman, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Kurt Busch, and Eric Almirola all have wins on the season. They are locked in as of now. Could Chase Briscoe pull the upset, knock Tyler Reddick out of the standings, and move himself into the playoffs? Will MTJ get his 4th win of the season? Will Kyle Busch go for win number 3? We will find out 1 p.m. Sunday, NBC, for the Verizon 200 at the Brickyard at the historic Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And we will break it all down Monday night right here on the Bump and Run podcast for Matt, the Statman Reilly, for Eric, Daytona Ron. We'll talk to you next week. Have a good night.
Bump and